Hello and welcome to FireDEV, a fireside chat with great people in the industry. Today I have Alexandra Balaceanu. So I just want to, thank you for coming, onto the podcast. And do you want to do a brief introduction for yourself?
Thank you. First of all, it's my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me. I'm Alexandra, but everyone calls me Alex. I'm 25 years old and I'm from Romania. I've been working in the gaming industry for almost 2.5 years. During this period, I worked for Ubisoft and now I work for Amber Studio, a company that was actually founded in Bucharest, Romania, where I live.
Okay, so you worked at Ubisoft. What was the interview process like for that company? Because that's obviously, a big AAA gaming studio. And what did you specifically do at Ubisoft?
Mm-hmm. So I worked at Ubisoft for about 1 year and 7 months. The interview process was easier than it might look at first. The interview was actually kind of the same for Amber as well. In the end, it all comes down to if you're suited or not for the industry. So I initially had an interview with someone from HR and a test lead from Ubisoft, so they can both assess me. So as always, HR told me about their company, asked me questions about myself and my experience, and the test lead asked me technical questions to see if I have any QA knowledge and also to see my thought process when he asked me about some testing scenarios. Um, that interview was about 1 hour, and after their response was positive, Ubisoft sent me a technical test that I had to complete in 1 hour. The test implied various questions with images and videos in which I had to pinpoint all the bugs that I could see and also write about them in a proper manner. So, for example, I had to classify the bugs as major or minor. Um, and I also remember having some grammar questions and also a small essay that I had to write using given words and phrases in order to show my English skills. After they revised my test and they decided they were satisfied with it, they sent me the job offer and I accepted it.
Okay, was all of that done remotely or was it done on site, the interviews?
It was done remotely because we were in the pandemic. Um, it was around March 2020, right when it all started.
Okay, and okay, so what sort of, which games did you, test whilst you was there for that year and 7 months?
I tested one game. I was assigned to one project. I am under NDA since the game is not yet launched or it's not really visible, but all I can say is that it's a shooter game.
Okay, so it's a new game then that's
Yes.
coming out. Then can you tell if it's on consoles or PC? Like what sort of platforms?
Uh, it's on PC. I tested on PC, and it will be also available for PS5 and Xbox Series.
Okay, and is it like a new, IP, or is it, an existing IP that they're releasing a new game for?
It's actually kind of a multiplayer shooter that takes place in the Division world.
Okay.
Um, and I remember that we also used to test for Google Stadia, but I know that kind of went south. So yeah, no more Stadia.
Yeah, yeah. Google Stadia. I remember when I mean they're not the first ones to try and do it. PlayStation have had PlayStation Now. Xbox have been doing their efforts, and then PlayStation Now before it was PlayStation Now it was on Live, the Japanese company, and then all those other efforts like Nvidia's done it as well. Like, what's your opinion on that sort of streaming of games instead of having to own a high end piece of hardware like a PC?
I think this helps users actually. I think it's more accessible to people. But again, I don't really know much about it since I had no issues with hardware, if I can say that. So yeah, again, my only experience with something like that was for Stadia, where I tested for about a few months. I don't really know.
Okay, and how did you find using Stadia? Because obviously, I'm guessing at the offices where you was doing, actually, you would have been doing it at home. I'm guessing you was working remotely then, because that was during
Yes,
pandemic.
yes, only remotely. In the end, they asked us to come in a hybrid form. We were at the office for about 3 days, and then we worked from home for 2 days. But most of the time, I was actually working only from home. Um, we were using Citrix to log into our PCs from work. It's kind of like a team viewer program. And for Stadia, we simply accessed it from our PCs. Again, all the hardware, all the PCs and peripherals were given by Ubisoft and now given by Amber.
Okay,
And also,
and
if you work on a console, they also give you the console, so everything is covered
okay,
hardware
I'm
wise.
guessing with the consoles they give, they take them back when you leave their
Yeah,
employment, just the
of
same way
course.
they take the laptop back or the computer back.
Yes, of course, and we sign for them, and if anything happens to them, that's not good. We suffer the consequences.
Yeah, I mean that's always. I mean that's fair enough. That's always the
Hmm.
case. And okay, so like, what was your just experience and opinion of Stadia? Like, did you have an enjoyable time playing it, or did you find that you had lag because it wasn't
Yeah,
over the air system?
yeah, it was actually not that kind of enjoyable because we had lots of crashes. It wasn't really that stable. And yeah, again, it was really, really lagging. So that was an issue, but we just tested it, for the sake of it, if I can say that. I mean, we weren't really expecting many people to play via Stadia, so yeah,
Yeah, it's one of those ones
we
when you
tried.
get when you become big enough like Ubisoft or EA or these big studios, it's one you just end up testing on platforms that you don't think that will most likely even succeed or become a thing, just because, just in case, you still want to be able to target them. And the potential backlash of, let's say, if let's say 5% of players want to use Stadia, that could be a huge backlash on something like Twitter, if they can't
Hmm.
play. Whereas if you're
Yeah,
an
exactly.
indie, you can ignore Stadia, and you can focus on PlayStation, Xbox, PC, Switch, those core systems. Plus, also Stadia was from Google,
Hmm.
so it's still from a big company, and it's still worth having considering it. And I think there might also be an element of, because it's from a company like Google, it's kind of expected that they should check it out, or Google kind of expects them to, just so future relations are good, because
Yes.
they're going to work with Google in the future, or Microsoft or Sony. And if they want them to try something out, even if they don't like it, or like you say, they don't expect many players to be using it, it's in their interest just to at least do the bare minimum, get some testers on it, get some, maybe some developers on it, just because they need that long term 10, 20 year relationship with Google or wherever.
And I think that also something that, I don't know, bothered me personally, if I can say that, is the fact that when we were testing on PC, we used a keyboard and a mouse
Hmm.
for the input. But when we tested on Stadia, we had to use controllers. And I don't know, personally, I really don't like shooter games where I have to use a gamepad. It's really quite difficult for me, to be honest. So, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, because Stadia, like the main idea was that you can have a console like experience
Mm-hmm.
without having the console, with
Yeah.
PC like graphics anywhere you want, whether that's on your TV, whether that's on your PC. And yeah, I mean, it makes sense they wouldn't get you to use a controller. But yeah, I know what you mean. If you're a hardcore PC gamer and you
Yeah.
try and play consoles, if it feels like you're going from 100 buttons or keys to like two, like it's it's kind of crazy how much they just cram it down. It's kind of impressive what they do with a controller. How
Mm-hmm.
streamlined they make it. But if you are like hardcore into it, like my dad, he doesn't really play games that much anymore, but he used to play a fair bit of games when I was growing up, and he was a PC gamer, and he was good with a keyboard and mouse. But because we had consoles as well, like PlayStation 2, PlayStation 1 growing up, when I would try and get him to play with me, he was like getting an 80-year-old man trying to, use a phone. Yeah, he would keep looking down at
Yeah,
the
exactly.
controller to be like,
Me.
am I pressing, X, am I pressing B or A? And it was like, you can, do it without looking at a keyboard and mouse, but you're having to look at a controller. But again, obviously, it's what you're used to, and if you don't really get used to controllers, that's fair enough. Going back to the
Yeah.
Stadia stuff, did you get to use the official Stadia controller, or was you having to use an Xbox or PlayStation 1 as a
Uh,
placeholder?
we had to use an Xbox controller. Yeah.
Okay. And okay, so whilst you was there, Ubisoft, you used Jira. One
Mm-hmm.
of the issues I had personally with university, after I finished and in recent years, is that they didn't cover, really useful and necessary tools like Jira and Git. Did you find that you had any new employees coming in, especially if they were developers, that just did not know how to use these tools? And considering Jira is very powerful but also very complex.
Yeah, of course. Especially in Amber. Um, with me now being a lead, I'm not a tester anymore. I also helped onboard new people, junior testers that never saw Jira. Um, but we also have some trainings in the company. We also benefit from some learning platforms. um Jira, it's, I don't know, it also depends on the project because there are different fields. We do some filters differently, so again, it all depends on the project really and on the company, I think.
Okay, that's fair enough. And what's your favorite Ubisoft game and why?
mm, it's actually Assassin's Creed Revelations, because I really love Turkey as a country, and the story behind the game. Actually, in university, I also studied Italian as my second language, and I remember the professor asking me why I chose, his language, and I told him, "Oh, because I love that game." And it was such a stupid answer, but I mean, he laughed. He knew about the game, so actually, yeah, this would be it.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, I mean, Assassin's Creed Revelations I think that's the fourth main one, isn't it? After Brotherhood,
The
if I
fourth
recall.
isn't Black Flag.
Oh yeah, I think the fourth actual one is Black
Mm-hmm.
Flag. Yeah, I think it was the fourth release, but not number four.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. The second one is Brotherhood, and I don't know. I don't actually quite know all the Assassin's Creed games because there are, a lot, and they are not all numbered, so it can be a bit confusing.
it can be, and because because obviously they have the main one, the Odyssey, Origins, Valhalla,
Mm-hmm.
Black Flag, but then they have the side one like China and
Yes.
Russia and some of these other ones. Like I haven't played those side ones, especially the ones that are side scrolling as well. I played all the major ones, the main releases.
Mm-hmm.
I've kind of gone off Assassin's Creed in recent years, especially with Valhalla. I tried it, especially after playing Ghost of Tsushima, and after coming off playing that, it just was not, on the same level. And I wish, because obviously they are releasing the new Assassin's Creed next year, and they are
Mm-hmm.
saying it's going to go back to its roots. And I hope it does feel more like the older Assassin's Creed, but just tighter gameplay and better graphics. That's what I'm hoping for.
I tried playing Valhalla right when it launched, but unfortunately, my PC almost caught on fire. I really could not play it. So, yeah, I mean, we didn't have really powerful PCs given by Ubisoft, because we only use those PCs, to enter that program, to enter Citrix like a team viewer, and our powerful computers were actually at, the Ubisoft building. So
Okay,
those were
and
the main ones.
what was the experience like, remotely logging in to basically, because I mean that's kind of like Ubisoft's own Stadia thing for employees using Citrix, where you're logging in and getting a video feed of a more powerful PC and
Mm-hmm.
playing the game. Like, how was that as a tester? Were there times that it just didn't feel native and you just felt like it's just not that fun of an experience as it could be if you actually had the PC?
It was actually fine most of the times. I mean, um, only when we had some, server issues and we could not log in, that was actually, I don't know, kind of annoying. But other than that, no. Again, most of the times it was fine and we didn't encounter any issues. It was, I don't know, maybe a bit hard if you had two monitors, because you cannot have that program, you cannot have Citrix on both of your monitors.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I can imagine because if the internet goes down, whether it's on their end or your end,
Mm-hmm.
it's game over. You can't do any more testing. You can't do any more playing. Whereas if you
Yeah.
still have your local machine, yeah, you might not be able to log into Jira or certain other tools, but you can still make notes. You can still play the game, make notes, and you can still get your work done, and you can get your gaming done. So yeah, I can imagine that being annoying.
Yeah, it
Okay.
also depends on how you are using your PC from home and the one from the office. So, for example, I used mine from the office via Citrix only when I was playing the game. I had Jira, I had my Outlook, I had every checklist that we've done. I had all of those in my PC from home. So, all my work was actually at home, and I had only the game uh, on the other monitor.
Okay, that's fair enough. So after Ubisoft, you went to Amber. What I mean, you've kind of already touched on it, but what do you specifically do at Amber? Because I think on your LinkedIn you had a few different roles there. So can you talk
Hmm.
us through that?
Yeah. So now I think I hit the 9 months mark in Amber. I was actually hired as a senior tester for them. After they assist me and anything, I had no idea that I'm gonna be applying, for a senior tester role, because when I left Ubisoft I was actually at the middle mark, at the intermediate tester or middle tester mark. But yeah, after we had our discussion, our interview, after I, took my technical test and everything, they told me that I would be suitable for a senior position at their company. And there I just started testing. Um, and then, I don't know, step by step I began to take more and more responsibilities, like managing the team, giving some daily tasks to the team, um, bug vetting for them, checking their issues and things. So again, it was kind of like a gradual process of me starting to also manage the team, also do some checklists, and not only perform those checklists but also write them. um and so then I just hit my acting lead mark. So it's something between a senior tester and a lead. I was not, a full lead, but I just had to have a 3 month trial in which I was added more and more responsibilities to see how I manage them and if I'm suitable for a test lead role.
Okay. And what's being a tester, like? And how much interaction do you have with the developers?
That actually depends on the company. So at Ubisoft, the PC team was it had about 20 members, And then we also had Xbox and PlayStation, and they were like 20 and 20 as well. So in total, that team, that project, was like with 60 testers. Here in Amber, we have actually smaller teams. We have teams of even two testers, four, six, 10, and so on. So in Ubisoft, we didn't communicate directly with the devs that much. It was more of a lead responsibility, but only because we were so many of us. But now in Amber, in the other company, we do talk daily to the devs and also the client, because Amber also works for external companies and individual developers. It's not, I don't know, they're not developing only their own games.
Okay. And what's how when you're a tester, how much of it is actually playing the game versus writing about it, logging it and discussing it? Obviously you're a lead now, but when you were the tester, discussing it with your lead and with each other, like how much of it is actually playing and how much of it is the admin side, let's say?
Again, it also depends on your game, it depends on the project. Because at Ubisoft we were a bigger team, as I said earlier, we did not communicate with our lead, like 10 times a day or things like that, because we were so many of us. But we did have indeed in our team a number of three senior testers, and they were actually assigned to um, things like that, to, I don't know, maybe explaining us some of the game mechanics, or explaining us about Jira and about the issues. Where here in Amber, with being a smaller team, I do that as a team lead.
Okay, fair enough. And why Amber? I see a lot of people go into Amber. Like the person I had on last week, he went from King to Amber. You went from Ubisoft to Amber, and like, what is? And I've seen a lot of people on LinkedIn. Their current employment is Amber, 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 and they're coming from big studios. So
Mhm.
like, what is Amber doing to attract all this talent? Is it purely money? Is it benefits? Is it what is it?
I mean, yeah, at the end of the day, let's be honest, it's also about money, because this is what puts food on the table and pays our bills. But um actually, I wanted to keep working remotely, to keep working from home. And even if I have to go to the office, even if it's now or even in the future, the office is way closer to home than Ubisoft was. But also, with being a part of a big team, being a part of Ubisoft, I felt like I don't know, I did not manage to make my voice heard. I did not have as much opportunities as I now had in Amber. Um yeah. I don't know actually how to explain it, but it's, I prefer with having a smaller team.
Okay, and so you was talking about your voice wasn't getting heard.
Mhm.
That segues into a question I was going to ask later. Like, how have you found being in the gaming industry as a woman? Like, have you found there been any pushback or even advantages, or have you just found like it's been purely based on merit so far?
First of all, with advantages, I really can say that no, there are no additional advantages. It doesn't matter if you're a woman or a man in the gaming industry. Um, I don't know. I wasn't someone's favorite or anything. Uh, it can actually depend on who you're working with, because actually I did encounter some situations where I wasn't I don't know, taken as seriously um, when I was talking or when I was explaining, because some guys, when they see that you're a girl in the gaming industry, they don't I don't know, they don't trust you as much.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely that within the industry. I remember when I was at university and I did computer games programming. There wasn't many, girls on the course each year. There's probably two, three, and there's loads of guys. And yeah, the general consensus was that they weren't, you know, as good, or they wasn't as capable. So yeah, there's definitely that issue, especially when there isn't that many. But I feel like things are getting better. How
Mm-hmm.
do you feel about that? Do you think things are getting better overall?
Uh, yeah, I mean, of course, I don't know. I with me being a girl, I can prefer some genres over the guys. I mean, I don't know, guys usually like cars and they like, I don't know, guns or things like that, and I might like something like a building simulator or I
Animal
don't know,
Crossing, for
girl
example.
things. Yeah, yeah, I love Animal Crossing. I bought my Nintendo Switch solely for that game. So yeah.
Yeah.
And actually, speaking about projects, I do have one fun fact regarding my hiring process at Ubisoft. So again, as I said, I took my interview with someone from HR and a test lead. And the test lead that held my interview asked me if I have any game genre that I would not like to test.
Okay.
Uh, I told him that I hated shooter games since I suck at them. Sure, I was playing a little Fortnite at the time, which I now play religiously. But overall, I was afraid of competitive games since I felt like I lacked the necessary skills. I was more of a casual gamer. Little did I know that after I was hired, I was assigned to write to that team lead's project. That guess what? It was a shooter game. Um, so yeah, that was a bit awkward, but I had fun and actually learned to better aim, to, I don't know, sharpen my reflexes and so on. I don't hate shooter games anymore.
Oh yeah, if you're playing games like Fortnite, obviously Fortnite is a little different to Call of Duty, but it's still obviously a shooter. As a result, do you play other FPSs or shooters, or is it just Fortnite and the odd other one?
It all depends on what time I have in hand, but yeah, most of the times I play Fortnite and I also play Just Dance on my Nintendo Switch as well. I used to play Animal Crossing, but I don't know, I just grew tired of it. And yeah, those are actually the main games that I play. And of course, the games that I test at Amber, because I still try to test a bit,
Okay.
to, I don't know, keep in touch with the game and its mechanics. So I
Yeah.
don't forget about everything.
Yeah, that's fair enough. How does Ubisoft and Amber differ, and what are the similarities between the two studios?
Mm, I don't know about how they differ. Of course, as I kept mentioning earlier, the teams differ in size. So, Ubisoft, it's a way bigger studio with actually a lot of games. Actually, I did thought of a difference. So when you get hired to Ubisoft, you also receive on your personal Uplay or Uconnect account, you receive all the games that Ubisoft launched. So you can play every single game whenever you want, and even after you leave the company, those games are still there, so you can play them whenever you want. So it's a really great deal. So basically, you get all their games for free when you are an employer, but also when you leave. Unfortunately, Amber does not offer that because most of the times we do test things that are not made by Amber. Amber is just there for testing or help with the development a bit. So it's not, I don't know, they're our own games.
Okay.
Uh, and for similarities, uh, actually, we do have learning platforms. We do have meetings and trainings about certain tools, about Jira, about things that we might need, um, about how to, I don't know, better our English skills. So, yeah. we do really benefit from training in
Okay,
both companies.
that's good. And what advice would you give to somebody that's wanting to work at a big company like Ubisoft or Amber?
I would tell others to just shoot their shot. It's not as scary as it might look at first, and everything can be learned. You just need to have some basic gaming knowledge and to be willing to learn. Even if you don't know the answer on a question from the interview or from the technical test, just try to give your input on how you would do solve or test something. Write what you think because employers want to see your thought process as well, and how you understand some of the terms. It's not a school exam where you pay something from a test book.
Okay, that's fair enough. And as a, again, I just want to loop back. As a woman in the
hmm
industry, have you had any, do you feel like there's been a wage gap in your experience, or have you found that you've been paid fairly based on, your job, your responsibility, and your output?
It's absolutely no gap. It doesn't matter if it doesn't matter your gender. For Ubisoft, they do have some steps. So you start as a junior 3, and then you go to junior 2 and junior 1. After that, this usually happens at around every 6 months, and then you can go up once a year. So it's you can go to the intermediate level. So again, you have intermediate 3, 2, and 1, and then you can go to senior tester 3, 2, and 1. So you have about 9 uh steps for testing, and each step has their own set wage, so it
Okay.
really cannot differ. It's all about what stage you are in, what step you are in at the moment. For Amber, it's really not that clear. We don't have those 9 things, but we do have the junior, the tester that we just call tester, so that would be the middle thing, and then we have the senior, and the wage actually differs on what responsibilities you have on the project. Oh, and also that brings me back when you asked me about the differences between those two companies, between Ubisoft and Amber. The thing is that for Ubisoft, I was hired on a project and I stayed only on that project when I worked there. But for Amber, you can be transferred to, I don't know, multiple projects. So for a week, you can stay and test a game, and then the other week, you can stay on a different project. You can stay on a project for 2 days, and so on. So it's really, I don't know, all over the place, but not really in a bad way.
Okay. And so I just want to, talk about Jira now.
Mm-hmm.
Jira is, it's a great tool, but it is a very complex one,
Yes.
and it can be overkill for small studios or indies. What other tools would you recommend for smaller teams?
Uh, I mean, if I can say that I grew up with Jira, I always knew only Jira, but so I don't really quite know other tools. But I can say that I know one of the projects that I am working on here in Amber. I know they used Mantis as a tool, but yeah, again, I don't have really any more details about that.
Okay. And again, obviously, you said you've grown up with Jira whilst you've been in
Mm-hmm.
the industry, but my other question is: at which point would you recommend a tool like Jira? What company or project size? If you can provide any insight into that.
I don't think if I can. I mean, it's a kind of hard for me to think at the moment. But as I said, it also depends on the project. I use Jira in Ubisoft, and I'm using Jira here in Amber. And I don't know, Ubisoft's Jira was way more detailed and more complicated than the Jira from Amber, because actually it also depends on the server, because it's not actually Amber Jira, it's the studio that develops the game. So for example, we work with Foxy Voxel for a project, and also with Modern Wolf, because I manage two projects here in Amber. I'm not working only for one project.
Okay, fair enough. And what form of testing, in your opinion, is the most effective, and which form of testing is the least effective?
Hmm. I'm actually a fan of destructive testing. Um, I don't know. I think that is the most useful one, because players don't always play as intended. They try different, I don't know, keyboard combinations. They try to break uh the game. They get really creative, especially because I can see their reports in Jira. I can see their reports on Discord servers and things like that. And actually, I don't know, in some cases we do find some scenarios that we as testers did not think of, but I don't know, the player actually does it in their gameplay. um so yeah, and also destructive actually challenges the tester, because you need to have a lot of imagination. So I don't know, not really anyone can do this type of testing. um it also depends on what kind of tester you are, if I can say that. um but yeah, I guess another form of testing would be scripted testing, because it's the most, is the safest form of testing. You just follow a certain checklist. uh the least form of testing, I don't actually know. Hmm. Yeah, you put me on the spot here, to be honest.
Okay,
We'll have to circle back.
that's fair enough. So, what's your approach when you do destructive testing?
Again, as I said, trying to break the game, um, and thinking of different scenarios that might not really be right on the user's path, or I don't know, just trying to put stress on the game. Um, yeah, I have to test more, because again, now as a lead, I test, I don't know, like 1 hour, maybe 2 hours a day.
Okay. And how does it feel when you're playing, testing these games and, you break it? Because obviously that is your job. And, obviously you haven't developed it, so you don't have the same connection that, let's say, the developer, if they break it, because they've got to fix it, like, what's the feeling like? Is it like a dopamine hit? Do you feel like really happy? Or, like, what's the feeling like when you
I
break it?
think I think that depends on the person. I actually feel quite sad if I manage to encounter, or um I don't know, if I manage to do a crash, for example, or a blocker, especially because I like to play games, so I have a passion for it. I'm not doing it only for work. So again, when you like something and then when you break it, of course you're not really that happy.
Yeah, yeah, I can imagine because obviously, even though you haven't developed it, yeah, it does depend on the type of person, and like, how does it feel when you are doing some testing and you're trying your hardest to break it and it's just not breaking? Have you come across those scenarios and you just think, "God damn, this is made really well"?
Yeah, of course, it can be annoying, especially because, I mean, that also depends on the company. Uh, but usually companies want a high number of bugs. They want to report to the client our results. I mean, they say, look, QA found this, so this means that the QA department is working a lot, and things like that. And of course, when we do not encounter many things, it kind of looks like we're not doing our job. So yeah, we can be put on blast for that. Hey, you did not find anything today. Did you really take a good look at our game? What's happening and things like that.
Yeah, I think that's a it's a shame that it's that's the metro, that's the like the main metric that
Hmm.
companies use. Obviously it's not just Amber or the companies working with Amber, but that they use that metric of, okay, you logged 100 bugs, fantastic, versus logging only 5, but asking, okay, was the product that good you could only log 5? Because obviously that's ultimately the goal of the client, where they want to get to, is where
Hmm.
they don't have 100 bugs, they have 10, then they have 5, then they have 1, and then hopefully 0, instead of saying, okay, we want a shit ton of bugs, because it shows that you're actually putting the work into it.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that it also depends on what bugs you submit, because I
Hmm.
can submit bugs about, I don't know, a missing letter or a missing comma or a dot, or I can submit bugs that um I don't know, they're about mechanics, they're about important things in the game, they are about something visual, they can be a blocker or things like that. So you cannot compare a big visual bug with, I don't know, just a missing letter with something trivial.
Okay, fair
But
enough.
actually, this thing with the number of bugs can be a good thing, because at least here in Amber we do have some bonuses that are given monthly. I mean, but only when we are, I don't know, reaching that target. So for example, you can achieve the top bugger bonus that is actually given once a month, and you only need to have a certain number of submitted bugs, but also they need to be actually important bugs and valid bugs as well. And especially because it can happen, we can actually submit a bug via Jira, and then a developer will come and he can say, oh, but that's by design, that's not actually a bug, we won't fix that. Or yeah, and that can be really sad. Or we can also submit dupes, and those are really rare cases, but they are really not okay. So we can submit a bug 2 times. But yeah, so
Okay.
again, the number of bugs can be a good thing. It
Yeah.
depends.
Yeah, so like just focusing on that little bit where you're saying the developer can come back and say, okay, that bug was not a bug, it was, there by design, or they're not going to fix it or whatever. Like, how does that feel? And has there ever been any heated, discussions or arguments or back and forth as a result of, them saying, we're either not going to fix it or it's there by design, and you're looking at it and thinking, it seems like a bug to me. It seems like this is not positive for the end product.
We didn't have any heated arguments, but I know that we encountered things like that a few times. But usually most of the times when, I don't know, we submit a certain bug that totally looks not okay, the dev usually, I don't know, if they cannot fix it, they just delete the feature for a build or two. And that is actually so annoying and actually so stupid. But yeah, or in other cases, yes, they can say that it's not a bug, even though it is. And we try to reopen it and we keep pushing, but it is a bug. How can you say it's not? And when we reopen bugs, we also attach a screenshot or a video, even though it's the exact same problem but shown in different ways. Um, and we had some back and forth, but no arguments. I don't know, we just have to actually accept what we are told. We cannot do much about it. So yeah, we try to, I don't know, take it with a grain of salt. At the end of the day, we did our job.
You were just saying that they sometimes remove a bug or the whole feature from
Yeah.
a version or two, like what do they remove it and then they try and sneak it back in, hoping you won't know? Like, well, what happens like when they remove it for a couple of versions? Like, well, it kind of indicates that they bring it back. Do they fix it or
Hmm.
what's the situation?
Yeah, they do fix it. I mean, I
Okay.
think this can also depend on the problem. So for example, in one of my projects we have animals, and I don't know, we might encounter some issues with a cat, for example. It's not walking properly or things like that, and they just um remove the cat from the game for a while so they can work on it in the back end, and then they bring her back and she's fine.
Okay, fair enough. And so, what made you get into the gaming industry? Because both the companies you've worked at, Ubisoft and Amber, have been
Hmm.
gaming related. Why gaming and not some other field?
So as I said at the beginning, it all started on March 2020 when the pandemic hit. I was working as a beauty advisor at Sephora, which is a makeup store, and I quit since I wanted to protect myself and my family from the virus, because I was working with thousands and seeing thousands of people every day. My plan was to find a job that I can do from home, but most importantly, a job that I actually love. Because over the years, I tried to find jobs that also suited my passions or hobbies, like teaching children, dancing, makeup with Sephora, and now games. So for me, I just wanted to do something that I loved. My cousin actually suggested me Ubisoft since he was working for them at the time. And I also had some friends that were already working there, and I heard nice things about the gaming industry, so I said, why not? It can be fun.
Okay, that's nice. And talking about bugs and tasks, what have you found the most effective way of tracking bugs and tasks? Because I know you can use all these different tools, whether they're a project management tool like Jira or
Hmm.
Trello. You can use pen and paper, you can use a spreadsheet.
Hmm.
But like I know I've struggled with it where using this tool or that tool right now. I print out a daily productivity planner where I have blocks on there and stuff that I need to do. That's what I'm currently using. I've used spreadsheets before. I've used all sorts of tools. What, in your opinion and experience, is a good tool for tracking bugs and more, broadly, tasks as well?
It all depends on you actually, on what tools you are most efficient in. For me personally, I like to work with Google Sheets, where I just created a personal sheet that tracks everything. So I have separate things, for example, where I track all of the submitted issues with the tester's name, with the bug's priority, and so on. um, yeah, for me, Google Sheets, and when I was working at Ubisoft, it was actually pen and paper, especially when I took all of my trainings. I have like a huge notebook about QA terms and testing scenarios and things like that. Um, but yeah, actually, I think the easiest way to track things is with Google Sheets, because for bugs, I mean, yeah, you can do a filter in Jira, you can do a dashboard in Jira, but that can be more advanced and you might struggle with it. So again, just, I don't know, make up your own system in a sheet, or I don't know, in PowerPoint or things like that in office programs.
Okay. So, so basically figure out what works for you,
Yeah.
especially depending on what you're doing, and I guess be consistent with it. Because that's the biggest thing I found. You got to make
Yes.
sure you're consistent with it.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, so still talking about this, what do you think is the best way of dealing with procrastination and getting things done?
I mean, this is really a sensitive subject, especially because we are working from home, the majority of us. So yeah, the productivity can actually drop because I don't know, we might get distracted during the day. Um I don't actually know. I think it needs to come from us. We need to give our full interest to our workplace. Again, if we do chose, or if we are asked to go to the office, I mean, yeah, that can be easier since I don't know, people are watching us and we cannot leave our desk. We really need to do our job. Um I don't know. I just try to communicate as much as I can with the testers to make sure that they are, I don't know, actually doing their job, if I can say that. But also, I like to communicate a lot because this is how I find out if they need any help, if they, I don't know, lack any resources, or I don't know, just be there for them and actually gain their trust.
Okay.
That helps a lot.
Okay.
Developing a work relationship.
Okay. That's some good advice there. So, what advice would you give to somebody that wants to, make games and start their own studio? Because you worked in big studios, but I'm sure you picked up some stuff that you would say, make sure you do this, or follow these, you know, techniques to really accelerate your journey.
Um, I mean, the internet is a really big thing right now. So, I don't know, for any resources that you might need, for any tools, you can always check the internet. You can always watch tutorials or read articles about how to develop games. I know that for one of the projects I'm working on, we have actually only one developer. He's only one guy from Italy, and I know that he did a Kickstarter campaign where he asked, for funds from different people, and this is actually how he started working on the project, how he managed to fund the game.
Okay, that's pretty cool. And okay, so I'm gonna move on to some more, fun generic questions now, less work related. So, if you was to run a company, would you rather run a 10-person company or a 1,000-person company, and why?
Mm, actually, I would go with the smaller company. I'm not gonna say the generic thing that we're gonna be like a family, because I don't actually believe in that. But I think that with having a smaller company, you can develop, I don't know, a bigger work relationship, if I can say that, because you are communicating so much and you have time for every single person. Um, Oh, and again, with going back, other differences that I can say about Ubisoft and Amber. In Ubisoft, we had our evaluation reports where we, as testers, were evaluated. We had those reports. We received them at I don't know, around once per year, if I can remember, or I don't know if twice per year. But here in Amber, we have these reports monthly. So Amber gives way more feedback to the people. So I think this actually really benefits employees more, and employers as well. Um, but yeah, I would choose a smaller company because I don't know. I think we will communicate way more and better, actually.
Okay, that's fair enough. Yes, so some people say large, some people say small, but I feel like more people do say on the smaller side. So, would you rather have 5 million upfront or 500,000 a year for the rest of your life? And let's just say, US
Mhm.
dollars.
I would take the second option, but only because when I have, I don't know, a large sum of money, I tend to, I don't know, get all happy about it and then try to spend all of it like in 1 second, because I'm really bad with money management. Um, So yeah, I think that I don't know, a smaller sum of money monthly would be better for me and for my lifestyle. I would calculate things way better.
Okay. And like, would you, whether it's the 5 million or half a million, would you ever try and invest it?
I mean, I heard about investing, but I never did it, so I don't actually have a lot of details, and I don't know if it will be worth it. I'm actually afraid I'm gonna lose all the money. So, yeah, I mean, I would try, but I don't think if I will actually do it, only because of fear of losing everything.
Okay, fair enough. Favorite board game?
Hmm. I mean, something basic like Monopoly. I don't play lots of board games, or actually Activity, if you heard about it, where I don't know, you play in teams of two people and you draw some cards and then you have to mime something to draw, or things like that, and advance throughout the game. I think that
Okay.
is a really fun party game.
Okay, well, what was that game called again?
Activity.
Activity, did you say?
Yes.
Activity. And that's a board game, is it?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, I haven't heard of that one. I've Googled the activity. Okay, I will take a look at that after because I do love board games. And like you say, Monopoly. That's obviously that go-to one. Don't mind Scrabble, but prefer the more
Hmm.
Monopoly or the more. I mean, I guess Scrabble's fun if you like that, but the more sort of kiddish ones. Love chess as well, but I find you really have to get someone that's in the mood or really is into it. Otherwise, whereas even you get loads of people that'll play Monopoly, but very few people that'll play chess with you.
I played chess. I think I played it like more than 10 years ago, but yeah, I really like it. I mean, I have a chessboard and everything that I need at home. I don't know, I don't have the opportunity to play it, especially because at parties, people want to do something fun, or I don't know, you are lots of people, and chess is a two people game, two player game. So, yeah, I
Yeah,
don't really hear people playing it.
yeah, yeah. That is the thing. Whereas Monopoly could have two people. Obviously, it's probably best with three or more. But yeah, you can have two. You can have three, four, five. Same with Scrabble. You can really have a lot more people, and I find it's easy. Not that I've really tried it with chess, but I find it's easier that if let's say you got 10 people, you could team up. So you could have
Hmm.
5 teams of two on Scrabble or Monopoly. Find that would be easier than on chess due to the very tactical nature of it, and like it's trying to explain to the person, especially if you don't do it on a regular basis with a particular person, so you don't have partner, you don't know how each other
Yeah.
would approach it.
Yeah.
It'll be very difficult to try and explain to them very quickly your thought process behind a move without giving it away to the other person.
And I don't know, even arguments can be started from things like that, because you might have a different opinion and different approach, a different strategy uh than your teammate. So yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. And a favorite video game?
Hmm. I mean, I answered earlier for favorite Ubisoft game, but favorite video games, so from any company, would be Fortnite actually. I do
Okay.
play it a lot. I mean, like a minimum 5 hours a day,
Jesus, that
each
is
day, daily.
a lot.
Yeah,
I mean, that reminds me of how I used to play, in terms of the hours when I used to play games at college and at school, especially at college. I used to play ridiculous amounts. And I remember over the summer holidays, so I had no school. I would wake up at like 7, brush my teeth, and the first thing I would do, go downstairs, and I would be gaming till probably midnight. Like outside of food and toilet breaks, it was game, game, game. But I don't get as much time due to work, due to family
Yeah,
commitments,
exactly.
and all that other stuff. Because obviously I'm a bit older. But yeah, the 5 hours. Is that like? Do you do them in like a 5 hour session, or do you do like
Yeah,
an hour? Oh, so like a
it's
five
one.
hour
It's one session. Yeah.
just one session. Okay.
I mean, right after I finish work, I either go to the gym for about 1 or 2 hours and then come home or play, or just finish my working hours and get right on to Fortnite.
Oh, that's fair enough. If you're hitting the gym as well and
Yeah.
you're being active, then at least you're getting that part of it done, part of life done as well. That's fair enough.
Yes, I'm trying. And then I go out on the weekends and things like that because I don't actually tend to go out on work days because I am so tired and I'm really not in the mood for anything,
Yeah.
and I get out at 6. So, yeah, and especially if I'm going to be at the office, I'm gonna arrive home at around 7. I need to take a shower, I need to change my clothes and so on, and it's gonna be getting late, so yeah.
Yeah. And do you ever? One second, I'm trying to think. I've lost my train of thought. The question I was just about to ask you. Yeah, we was talking about you going to the gym, talking about yeah, yeah, going out. So yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. Do you ever go out and think I'd rather have just been at home playing Fortnite?
Yeah, actually, I mean, I think it can be a little sad if you think about it, especially because uh I don't know, it also depends on your thoughts on Fortnite because I can tell a friend that hey, I like Fortnite, and he can be like, "Oh, yeah, that's cool. It's fine. It's Fortnite." And then I can tell another person that hey, I like Fortnite, and they are going to be like, "Oh, what? That game? That's a kid's game. It looks awful. I would never play it." It's yeah. So it depends, but yeah, I did had some moments like that. Again, but only because I really, really like the game.
That's fair enough. And what video game are you looking forward to?
Hmm, I really don't know actually because I did not really, I don't know, look at upcoming games. I don't even know what games are gonna be launched or anything. I just yeah, I need to be more informed.
Okay, well, fair enough.
I was really
And
looking forward to the launch of a game that I'm working on in Amber, actually, because I really like it, and I also played it outside my working hours only because I loved it so much. I mean, I wasn't testing it as you know. Working, I was actually just playing it for the sake of playing it and for having a good time.
okay, so this is a question that I love asking. It's very interesting to ask. Does money buy you happiness?
Yeah, yeah, I totally think it does. I don't know, and some people, might throw rocks at me for my answer, but I really stand by it. I think that totally money can buy you happiness. Because money means also health, in my opinion, because you can afford all of the good doctors in the world. So you know that most of the times you will be covered. I mean, of course, I know that there are illnesses and there are things that cannot be cured, but you know that again, for most of the times you will be fine. Um, Money again can buy you any clothes that you want, any games that you want, or any consoles or things. So you are going to be entertained. You're going to have only the best things. So, yeah, in my opinion, at least money will buy you happiness.
Okay. And what does a good life mean to you?
A good life to me, actually, revolves around the people that are next to you. If your friends are genuine, if your family is also genuine, and if they are healthy, For me, actually, it's about the, yeah, as I said, the people that surround me. If I have good people on my side, it's all that I need.
Okay, that's good. Like having people around you. Like, where does success in career and financially and let's say material things come into that, if at all?
I think you are successful when you have a good uh work and life balance. So um yeah, actually, if I can say that, I think that we need to have two separate lives, one for work and one for our personal life, and they do not need to clash,
Okay, fair enough. So
just to
that's
have that balance.
yeah. So what? One last question before we wrap this podcast up. What advice would you give as being a tester to somebody else that wants to be a tester?
Mm, Again, just try to, I don't know, gather as much information as you can. And for being a tester, you're testing games. I mean, you have gaming and software, but if you choose to go to the gaming route, again, that actually revolves around your passion for games. So as long as you play games, as long as you enjoy them, that's all that matters, again, because all the tools, all the knowledge can be learned, um, and it doesn't matter if you are an expert in testing. As long as you have that passion and as long as you are open to learning, open to suggestions and everything like that, you will be great.
Okay, I mean that's definitely some good advice. So yeah, I just want to, thank you, Alexandra, for coming on the podcast today, giving your time, gone over a lot of great, topics, especially working in major studios like Ubisoft, Amber, and being a tester as well. Now you're like a lead tester, so having it from a different side. So I've had developers on here and artists, but
Hmm.
when talking to a tester is and it is nice to have that sort of contrast. So yes, want to thank you for coming on, Alexandra. And do you have any closing comments that you want to make before we wrap up?
mm, I don't know if I have any, but just thank you so much for inviting me and for giving me this opportunity, and yeah, we'll keep in touch,
We
I
will.
hope.
Yeah. So yeah, if you enjoy the podcast, check out the other episodes as well, and give the podcast a 5-star rating on your platform of choice. And thank you for listening. And I'll see you in the next episode of FireDEV. Bye bye.